The film opens with the grim sight of a deceased woman. Following this, we see a mysterious door marked with a triangle. From it, a boy named James and a girl burst out, fleeing for their lives. They are pursued by two individuals, identified as father and son. The father mercilessly shoots the girl, then burns her, killing her instantly. James, however, manages to escape. This horrific event is witnessed by an unknown man, dressed in white, with a black triangle emblazoned across his face. Next, we're introduced to Officer Carter, who is on night duty. Suddenly, a panicked James runs directly into the path of Carter's car. Carter approaches him, seeing James is in a terrible state, and immediately takes him to a hospital. At this hospital, we find Dr. Powell's wife, Allison, who works there as a nurse. The other staff and patients include Dr. Powell himself, two nurses, Beverly and Kim, an elderly lady named Maggie, her grandfather Ben, and another patient. Carter and Allison's married life has been strained. They barely communicate with each other. This is due to the profound grief they carry from losing their child during Allison's delivery. Just then, Dr. Powell approaches Carter and informs him that James is now stable. Powell also confides that he understands Carter's pain, having lost his own daughter, Sarah, which turned his life into a living hell. Carter goes to check on James and is horrified to find Beverly with scissors lodged in Kim's eyes. He shouts at her to stop, but when she turns, Carter sees her entire face is grotesquely disfigured. As she advances towards him, Carter shoots her. Afterward, Carter rushes to the bathroom and vomits. While there, he experiences unsettling visions, flashes of light, and a massive triangle looming over dark clouds. Dr. Powell and Allison arrive to comfort him. When Carter steps out of the bathroom, he encounters Dr. Mitchell and recounts everything. Mitchell advises him to call for backup. As Carter heads to his car outside, he spots a man with a black triangle on his face. The man attacks him, plunging a knife into his chest. Carter barely escapes back into the hospital, where the staff immediately treats his wounds. Soon after, they all notice a group of people standing outside the hospital, dressed in identical clothes, appearing to be members of a cult. Suddenly, they hear James screaming. Mitchell and Carter rush to his room, where they discover Beverly has transformed into a grotesque creature, attempting to grab James. Carter is stunned, realizing he had shot Beverly, and she was dead. He can't comprehend how she became this creature. Mitchell shoots the creature, but it has no effect. Both men abandon James and flee the room. At that moment, father and son, who have been searching for James, arrive at the hospital. They hold everyone at gunpoint, demanding that James be handed over to them. James, seeking self-preservation, grabs Kim, who is pregnant, and threatens to kill her. Dr. Powell tells him not to, but James brutally stabs Powell in the throat, killing him. Just then, Beverly reappears, grabs Mitchell, and drags him away. They all follow, only to witness the preacher, with large tentacles, impaling Mitchell's eyes and mouth. Father and son shoot at the creature, but their bullets have no effect. They then grab axes and relentlessly hack at it, finally killing the creature. When father and son attempt to retrieve James, Carter stops them. The father retaliates by beating Carter, telling his son they cannot trust these people. Allison tries to reason with father, but he reveals that his son is mute. Because the last time they trusted them, his son's throat was slit, rendering him speechless. Father is about to kill Carter when Mitchell stops him, gesturing for them to trust each other. Father, exasperated, tells Mitchell, "If you want to go through this again, fine." Father then explains there's no way out, as the cult members are positioned outside. He also suggests that something inside the hospital must have drawn these cult members here. They then burn the creature's body and tell everyone not to fear. Carter informs father and son that he has a shotgun in his car that they can use for protection. The three of them go outside to retrieve it. Carter notices his car, which was parked near the hospital, is now much further away. Despite this, they proceed. As Carter retrieves the shotgun from his car, the cult members attack them. They quickly retreat back into the hospital. Meanwhile, Allison goes to the medical room to get medicine for Maggie. Dr. Powell, who is surprisingly still alive, seizes her. When Carter returns, Kim informs him that Allison went to the medical room. Carter, along with father, goes to find her. On their way, they are shocked to discover that Powell's body has vanished. They go to the medical room, but don't find Allison. They then go to Dr. Powell's room. Just then, a call comes in. It's Dr. Powell. Carter answers and asks Dr. Powell where Allison is. Powell tells him not to worry about her, and that Carter will soon understand the visions that came from within. He also reveals that everything changed when he lost his daughter, but now he will fix it all. As they speak, father notices a box on the doctor's table containing pictures of his victims. Among them are photos of the cult members performing a ritual. Dr. Powell then asks Carter if he wants to know where his father went after he died. Carter, startled, asks what Powell intends to do, but Powell immediately hangs up the phone. Following this, Carter decides to go to the hospital's basement with father and son. This area houses the For More room, which leads even deeper beneath the hospital. He gives Kim a gun and asks her to guide them. Before descending, the three of them go to James to question him. James tells them that he met the girl on the road, and she asked him to accompany her to a certain place. When they arrived, it was a terrifying location littered with numerous dead bodies. Afterward, some people appeared and forced him and the girl into a ritualistic encounter, calling the place a church. They were dressed in white clothes and had black triangles on their faces. Carter asks James if they were worshiping a goddess, but James replies, no, it was something else entirely. Hearing this, they take James with them as they proceed deeper. Further down, they encounter more stairs, leading even deeper. Carter asks Kim about these, but she states that there are no such stairs in the basement that go further down. Meanwhile, Powell has laid Allison down and is cutting his own skin. Allison asks what he has done to her. He replies that the transformation is about to begin, through which he will bring his daughter back into the world. Allison begs him not to, but Powell, having completely flayed his own skin, comes before her. He tells her she is beautiful and that after the transformation, she will be even more so. Allison's stomach then begins to swell, and something is clearly moving inside her. Down below, Carter and his companions continue descending, where they find numerous dead bodies. James exclaims that this is the very place he described. Suddenly, the dead bodies reanimate and attack them, causing chaos and confusion. Carter then sees his wife and follows her, with son trailing behind him. A reanimated corpse grabs James and kills him. Meanwhile, Maggie is in pain, so Kim gives her a sedative injection. Suddenly, Maggie awakens and slits her grandfather's throat, killing him. She then tells Kim that Dr. Powell is a good man, and that she is lucky to be giving birth to his great creation. Kim flees and hides, observing that the cult members have now entered the hospital and are taking Maggie with them. Down in the basement, father has lost touch with reality, believing he is back in his home. His son tries to gesture him back to reality, but father attacks him, blaming him for the deaths of his wife and daughter, accusing him of failing to save them. Son then lights a flare and stabs father in the stomach with it, bringing him back to reality. This place was playing tricks on their minds, showing them horrifying visions. Carter reaches a room where he finds Allison lying down, seemingly about to give birth. He then snaps back to reality and sees that Allison has transformed into a monstrous creature. Horrified, Carter grabs an axe and kills the creature. Suddenly, he hears Dr. Powell's voice and finds himself in the bathroom. On the wall, there's a massive triangle with an intense light emanating from behind it. Dr. Powell asks Carter what he sees. Carter replies that he sees a monster. Powell then tells Carter that he showed him numerous visions, yet he still couldn't understand. He confesses that he spent his entire life fearing death, but now he has embraced it, and he will undoubtedly bring his daughter back. At this point, Maggie arrives and stabs Carter, wounding him. Then Powell appears, no longer looking human, but having transformed into a creature himself. He tells Carter that the cult members are here to witness the birth of his daughter. He then tells Maggie that she must die to give birth to his daughter. Following this, he sits before the triangle and chants an incantation to open it. As the triangle opens, a large creature emerges from Maggie's stomach. Powell proudly identifies it as his daughter. Just then, father and son arrive and attack the creature. The creature goes after father, grabs him, and impales him with its tentacles. Father pulls a bottle of lighter fluid from his pocket, pours it over himself, and tells his son to light a flare and throw it at him. Understanding his father's intent, son lights the flare and throws it towards his dad. The creature catches fire, and father dies. Meanwhile, Carter strikes Powell in the shoulder with the axe, but it has no effect. Powell then tells Carter that he can reunite him with Allison, who is waiting for him in a certain place. Hearing this, Carter takes Powell and plunges into the triangle. The triangle then closes, and everything begins to return to normal. The creature, however, is still alive and chasing Son. But then the walls start closing in, trapping and killing it. Son barely manages to save himself. Outside, he meets a terrified Kim. They both exit the hospital, and everything appears to have returned to normal. Afterward, Carter and Allison are shown in a desolate place, looking up at a vast triangle in the sky. That was the story of this film, which likely left you quite confused. Let's clear up that confusion now. After the death of his daughter, Powell went into deep shock and yearned to bring her back. He devised a method to travel to a different dimension where he could bring the dead back to life. Not as humans, but as creatures. He formed a cult and captured people to conduct experiments, hoping to bring his daughter back. The dead bodies we saw in the basement belonged to people Powell had experimented on. James himself told Carter that he had been to this very place. Firstly, Powell would show people visions, prompting them to kill others, after which they would transform into creatures, just like Beverly and Maggie. Beverly killed Kim, and Maggie murdered her grandfather. Powell preyed on people's grief. Allison and Carter grieved for their deceased child, and father and son mourned their lost family. The hospital's basement was in a different dimension, which is why they could see the dead bodies reanimating. Regarding Powell's appearance, his monstrous form was what he became after dying. He discovered a dimension where, upon death, a person transforms into a creature. When his daughter was born, she too was born in the form of a creature. Now about father and son. They were seen chasing James and a girl at the beginning. This girl was the one James spoke about. Friends, father and son must have already endured all the horrors that Carter and the others were experiencing. That's why, when Mitchell arrives in the room, father asks him if he wants to go through it all again. It's highly likely that father's wife was captured by the cult members and experimented upon by Powell to bring his daughter back. Later, father sees his wife among the dead in the basement, which confirms that Powell had experimented on her as well. Friends, when the experiments were happening on his mother, son must have been there. He couldn't save his mother, and the cult members didn't kill him. We see the wound on his throat, rendering him mute. In one scene, father blames him for his mother's death for failing to save her. It's probable that father's wife was pregnant when Powell targeted her, so she could give birth to his daughter. In the scene where Allison is about to give birth, we see the bodies of newly born infants near her, suggesting they were the result of similar experiments. Powell definitely preyed on pregnant women to bring his daughter into the world. First, he targeted father's wife, then Allison, and finally Maggie, who ultimately gave birth to his creation. At the end of the film, Carter takes Powell into the white light, which brings everything to an end. Afterward, Carter and Allison are shown in a desolate place with a large triangle in the sky above them. Friends, this must be the world after death, or the afterlife, where both of them now reside.